everyone. Welcome back to New Answers Podcast. As you know, we're a community of everyday people sharing solutions to life challenges based on our personal experience. And we're continuing in our conversation regarding spirituality as a means of finding solutions to these challenges. So, on the conversation today, we are going to talk about finding our purpose. And obviously, joining me is Tiffany Lee, who's
Hello.
been accompanying me on this odyssey of finding answers to all the things that are challenging us. And Tiffany is someone who has been on this journey for a long time and has now enrolled into classes on spirituality to become a practitioner in the discipline of religious science. And as I said, the conversation today is going to circle around finding our purpose, which I think is a universal quest of a lot of us, right? I mean, this is what our life journey is. And so we want to talk about during the course of our time, what does that mean to us, each of us individually, Gwen and Tiffany? And then we're going to talk about how do we find it? You know, what are the tools that you use to do that, that we are aware of, that we're going to share with you? And then we want to ask you to, if you are on this quest of finding your purpose, to use some of these tools and then tell us what your experiences have been. And you can do that in the comments section, but I'll remind you about that as we get to the end of the conversation. But yeah, I think let's just kind of jump into this, Tiffany. And I think this is a question that everybody on this earth, every human being on this earth has asked. Some have found answers, most of us haven't, and we're still in search of it. And one of the things that really intrigues me is, with this higher power that we have, that is the source of all creation, why hasn't the higher power just given us our assignment, just, made it crystal clear what our purpose is? Why do you think that that the source has not done that for us?
Has he not? I was just thinking about that. That's probably because we just can't hear it. I think depending on what you believe spiritually, but many people believe that we come down with a purpose and it's our soul purpose. We created ourselves, our soul purpose within our soul families. And we come down and we do forget, and we have to find the way to it. But I was thinking about when you're young, as a child, you're more open to, your spirit's more open, your soul's more open to hearing. You don't have as much of a veil up, a conditioned, societal conditioned veil. And I remember when I was a little girl and I would watch TV, and I felt a call to help the children that I would see on TV when they'd show like Ethiopia or Africa, you know what I mean? Like it really, really called to me then. Okay. And then as life goes on, I completely forgot about it until I started going on missions in Haiti. And my first mission wasn't anything that, my commitment to the mission when I first decided to do it wasn't anything I even thought about. It was a friend walked into church and she was telling me that she started a mission in Haiti. And I was like, oh, I want to go visit you this summer. And as it came out my mouth, I was like, why did I say that? And then, as you know, Gwen, because you helped me get my nonprofit started, after a couple of visits, it turned into, I now have a nonprofit. So I wonder actually if I knew like one of my purpose, and I think we can have multiple purposes, by the way, but one of my purpose when I was younger, because I actually, even after I got it started, after we were doing it, it was my dad that reminded me of me being a child saying, I'm going to help feed and house all these poor people when I get older.
You
So
said that as a child.
I said, as a child. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, my experience has been a little different. So I do remember as a young child, maybe like kindergarten, 5 years old or so. Um, I don't know, somehow coming across someone who, a person who had lost a limb. I think it might have been their leg or something. And little kids in the playground, they were laughing at that person. And,
Uh,
but it occurred to me because of the way they had to move without a limb. But it occurred to me, even as a 5 year old, I guess, that they shouldn't be laughing. That person maybe lost their limb in a war. I don't know where that came from. I don't know.
you're
Sure,
like in a war.
I'm 5 years old. What am I doing? What do I know about war? But maybe but they shouldn't be laughing at them. That they shouldn't
Right.
make fun of this person. That they should basically, I don't know. I didn't know. I don't know if the term honored came into my mind, but what did come into my mind is that it's nothing to be laughed at.
Right.
That this person needs help and should be helped. So that was one of the earliest memories I had. And then I don't know. I got distracted by other stuff, and I have been looking for my purpose forever. And I think maybe in the early 2000s, maybe it was early 2000s, I found it. I mean, I was on the road to it. I didn't really find it because I was still
Right.
kind of searching. And now, I'm well now at that time, I'm going to reveal my age a little bit. I think I already talked about my age, but I was in my 30s, mid to late 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Still like searching for what the heck it is I'm supposed to be doing in this world. Why was I brought here? And I left the corporate world because I was working in the corporate world and moved into the nonprofit field. And even before that, I was doing some work around like dealing with social issues. Um, and as a broadcaster, doing public affairs on radio and television. And then, anyway, I'm trying to skip past stuff, but I'm not doing that well. I'm not doing that well. I realize. But then so I guess it kept coming to me but I kept ignoring it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've come to the conclusion after leaving corporate and into nonprofit, where I feel so much at home, that my calling is to deal with social justice issues. That's part of my DNA.
Right.
I'm real comfortable in that. Social justice issues, and even in the work that I do now at coaching, leadership development, professional development in the nonprofit sector, because nonprofit is the sector that really addresses any societal problems or concerns. And to me, that's all part of social justice, like evening the playing field and making things, removing barriers so that people can fulfill their life purpose, I guess, their life dream. And so, so I guess I've had hints of it along the way that I just didn't pay attention to until recently. Well, within the last, I don't know, the early 2000s, I guess. And
You know what you're saying about the hints
yeah,
leading up to it. When you said that, I did too. I had hints leading up to it. It wasn't when I started my nonprofit. It wasn't the first time actually I did something to build wells. I completely forgot about this, but like right before I got divorced, I had a mom's group. My kids were super young, and we decided to raise money to build a well in Africa through another organization. And so we held a fundraiser. We did like a 5K. We only did it one time. because I literally started my divorce at that time, and everything that I was doing at that point in time got squashed. So, mm, so I think that's interesting because this is not the way I thought this conversation was going to go, by the way.
Yeah.
but but right before we went on, the memory of my childhood conversation with my dad, my feelings, and then all of a sudden here I'm doing it. And so what I'm feeling is like we do come with a purpose, and we probably do know it more when we're younger, and um and we can get distracted from it, but spirit will still speak to our spirit, our soul, about what we're supposed to do. And if we listen,
Yeah.
we end up in it. And
Yeah.
I was gonna say like meditating's a good way to do that. Um, Speaking with, a counselor or something. But I almost feel like based on both of our conversations, our experience is we just meditating could help. We basically just have to listen to our soul calling us what feels good.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think, as we're talking, these thoughts are occurring to me as well, because we started out talking about what does it mean, finding your purpose, and what is your purpose, and why isn't it already given to you? Like, automatically why you're here and what you're supposed to do. But I think our life is supposed to be about um, answering that question for ourselves. Um, and that spirit does not want us to have the answer, that we're supposed to seek it out, find it out, and 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 that there will be hints provided to us, and we just need to, as you say, pay attention to it, listen to it, because they're going to come up, and I think it's going to
Right.
come up repeatedly, right? It'll repeat until we figure it out. And so that's what life is I guess it's supposed to be about. It's like spirit has a sense of humor, like it wants to watch us
Well,
as we struggle to figure out what our purpose is. It's like,
right.
is this amusing you? Why didn't you just give me the answer in the beginning? But we're supposed
Well,
to pay attention to it, right? Go ahead. Please get spirit is giving.
well, I'm thinking, did they? Is it us if we're not paying attention to it? Is that spirit's fault or our fault? Because I always think about the people that, let's say, I know people that have been like that are doctors, and they're like, I knew I wanted to be a doctor since I was a child, so they were on this straight path to fulfill that goal, that mission, or whatever. If it's not influenced by a parent or whatnot, there are some people that do that. And I've always been jealous of them because I've been like, how come I don't know what my purpose is?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I mean, I used to be a ballerina, so I thought that was my purpose, to be a ballerina, until I got injured. And my passion for dance growing up was very focused. Like that was it. But then I got injured. And I expected the passion I have for ballet to transfer to something else, and it never did. So then there I am on my sole purpose. I went through 3 degrees in college. I went through so many different jobs. Um, but now I'm thinking that my purpose is more what I'm doing with the nonprofit. And I just didn't listen to it. I didn't stick with it. Obviously, I had it in my heart as a child, but I didn't fully listen to it. So it took me until a certain time to do it. And spirit was like, here's the hints. Here's what you're here for. So
Yeah.
it's not spirit not telling us. I think we just weren't listening.
We're listening. Yeah. Here's another example, and it's similar to what you were talking about, I guess. So I was recently on a plane, on my way to a destination, and I was sitting next to this guy, young guy, and I was kind of looking over his shoulder. He had his laptop open, and he was making some notations, and I noticed that one of the headings of the notations had to do with data, gathering data and using that data to justify the mission of an organization. So I thought, oh, this guy is he's really serious and he's probably working on organizing a nonprofit. And so when he brought his head up and he started to have a conversation, he initiated the conversation with me. He talked about the fact that he was doing this exercise because he was about to have an interview for a job, but it wasn't related to a nonprofit. It was just an exercise to show a skill set that I guess he needed for this job that he was interviewing for. But anyway, so we started talking, and he mentioned a friend of his who had started on the path of becoming a doctor and had enrolled in pre-med. I think he had enrolled in pre-med too, and found out that that wasn't his thing. And in the same way, his friend is finding the same. His friend is still in med school and training to be a doctor, but his friend is telling him his heart really isn't in it. Like, I think he's following it because it's part of his family legacy,
Right.
but it's not his. He's doing well. That's the other thing. He's struggling. He's struggling with some of the classes. So so it sounded to me like, and this guy, I think he started in pre-med and he went on to, I'm trying to remember what it was now. Oh, I think it was finances, because he's good with numbers, and he somehow moved in the area of a career field involving numbers, like a financial analyst or something like that. But he started out in med, in pre-med. His friend is in med school, and I guess his heart is in someplace else. I can't remember what he said it was, but it was in some other field. And I thought, so they're getting hints. First of all, the guy that's in med school now is struggling to get to with the classes that he's taking, which is a clue, right? That maybe this is for you. And he's kind of still ignoring it. He's going to pursue this medical degree, even though he doesn't feel like it's his thing. And the same with the guy who I was sitting next to and talking to. He started out in pre-med, then he said, no, this isn't for me. And now he's into more finances. He's good with numbers. And I guess you see that with as a doctor, but he wasn't good with, the sutures and the, all the other stuff that you have to do, biology and stuff. And so he shifted his thinking from there. So I thought those are clues that you are not pursuing your purpose, when you're struggling like that.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing right now is when I think about my path into the nonprofit, once I just started, I guess, surrendering to the call.
Yeah.
Every step of it has been not just based on me. You know what I mean? It's almost kind of like spirit has partnered in this, because like I said, when I was a single mom, I was barely paying rent when I first said I'm going to go to Haiti, and it just came out of my mouth. And I really didn't know at all, or even didn't put that much into whether or not it was going to really happen, but I kind of just went with the flow. Told another friend, like, I really want to do this. She's like, me too. And one other friend, and we kind of let my friend in Haiti know, and then we started meeting. We started acting on it, even though I had no idea how the money was going to come. Zero idea. And it was probably, so we had to read a book. And we had to do certain things, so raising funds, raising money. But kind of midway through, someone said, I got a call, and someone's like, someone donated for you to go, donated my cost.
Oh.
And then, we were such a small group. We were like, what are we going to do when we get there? We didn't know what we were going to do. We were raising money. We didn't know how much we needed. I think it was 2 weeks before we were supposed to leave, we got the call from Haiti, and they're like, this is how much money we need to do this particular project. And we were like, that's exactly what we have raised. and we have experience in this project.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was the first time. My second trip, very similar. And then when I decided to build a well, the very first cistern that we built, the money came like that.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna say that like when we're on the right path, whether we know it or not, spirit just comes in and makes it easier for us. And so that's when I'm thinking about your story where the guys were like really struggling, and yeah, it's not their path. It's and then it doesn't feel like work. Oh, I've heard this so many times, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like work because it's coming
Yeah.
from the heart. It's just something we're doing. And it could be why my I have my nonprofit that I don't consider work, and then I have my work, which
Yeah.
I'm very much struggling with.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, am I supposed to just concentrate on this and give them and trust God to provide for me while I provide for, because right now we're building a canal. I'm raising money to build a canal in Haiti, and that money's coming, and I've sent it off. And yet, in my own personal life, I still struggle. So
So it sounds like you have the answer.
I know, right? It came through this.
Right? It sounds like you have the answer. So isn't this interesting? So we don't necessarily know our purpose, and our life here on this planet is to find out what our purpose is. And in doing that, like, so we do certain things, and when the barriers come up, that gives us the clue that you're not on the right path. This isn't your purpose. So then you have to figure out what that purpose is. And that means, so let's talk about how we find our purpose, right? And we've already kind of talked about that. It's like we have to listen to
Our heart.
our hearts. What's our heart's desire?
Yeah.
And any other input, downloads that we get from spirit. Listen to it, because then the struggle goes away, right? It isn't a struggle.
Well, I don't think it completely goes away, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I shouldn't say it goes away. I mean, once you listen to, your heart's desire, and what spirit is telling you, or paying attention to what spirit is telling you, and you go on that path, then those resources that you need, if you're on the right path, start to come to you.
Right.
Without the resistance, without, the barriers.
Right.
And to me, that makes life a little easier. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not a struggle.
It would be.
It's not work. It's not work.
Exactly.
It's more, you don't look at it as work.
You want to wake up and do what you're doing.
Yeah.
As opposed to when you wake up and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. That's
right, exactly.
Listening to the heart. Yeah.
So it's listening. And to do that, you have to, the sort of the technologies, as they call it, that you use is to sit still, right? And meditate and be quiet and just kind of, do some deliberation about what your heart desire is, and then listening to spirit, who will be giving you hints as you go along the way. So sitting still and doing meditation is a way to find what your purpose is. What else is
acting on inspired action right away. Inspired action. And I think that's right. How my whole path started. It's just like, you can't make sense out of it. Nothing with my nonprofit could I make sense out of. From the very beginning to the first mission to right now, everything that's happened is not something that could have made sense. My desire for it, every action that's been taken, it's all been, starts with inspired action, then it's been through divine assistance. Like, you have been divine assistance, so yeah, this is actually a really inspiring conversation for me even right now.
I love it. Who knew it would take off like this? Yes, inspired action, and just really, really paying attention to what what it is that makes your heart flutter, and it's not, you don't feel like you were saying, I don't want to do this, like this is, you, when you wake up in the morning, and if you leap out of bed because you've got an inspired action, the one, that that's the path that you should be on. If it's the opposite, it's like, oh no, I don't want to get out of bed, I don't want to, then that you shouldn't be following that. You should
Right.
pay attention to what it is that makes you, want to leap out of bed in the morning, and want to do what you're doing. Because the other thing I want to say is that, because I think that we are all brought here with a purpose that we may not know about, in our journey is to find out what that purpose is, but that it is, oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. That it's not work, that it's something that you feel, that you would do, even if you're not, even if there's no compensation to it, but usually there will be compensation that will come with it, but you would do it anyway. And that every one of us here, this is it, has a purpose, has a reason for being here, and our purpose for being here is unique to each of us. It's not, like we're all separate individuals that have talents and gifts that are unique to us,
Mm.
and it's what we contribute to the world that is needed, that is necessary. So each of us is necessary because of the unique gifts and talents that we have. And it's just finding out how those talents and gifts are to be used that creates our purpose. But we're all here for a reason. I believe that. And are uniquely gifted with certain skill sets and whatever that contributes to the greater good.
Right. Well, through Signs of Mind, the belief is that we are all expressions of the divine living a human experience, right?
Yes.
So it's like we're all so unique. We're all very uniquely made expressions of the divine. And the purpose is, I think Ernest Holmes was just to experience life, you
Yeah.
know? But like, what does that mean? Experiencing life is in so many ways, you know? It's, yeah. And
Yeah.
I think we can have more than one purpose because I have an action purpose to build the wells and homes and in Haiti and other what do you call it? We don't really call them third world, emerging worlds, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then on the spiritual side, that wasn't like me going through practitioner school. I that came out of an inspired action too. Like one day I was like, I need some spiritual connection here in Lancaster after moving here. I Googled this place and I was like, all right, let me go check it out. And it's been a whole new open path for me there too. And
Hmm.
I can say that because now I'm singing with the band. That was a little part of my heart that I kind of always did want to do, but I didn't know I was a good singer. Back then, I knew I could carry a note, but it wasn't something I thought I would ever be like. I didn't pursue it like to win a Grammy or anything like that. It was just something that I secretly liked, but I was too shy to really pursue.
Yeah.
So it just kind of happened once I said yes to this place, and then I said yes to the choir director who heard me singing, and I was like maybe for 1 month, and then meeting with practitioners and just becoming a member. Um, I said yes to taking a class, which the practitioners were like they decided that I would be a good practitioner, and I said yes to the journey. So far it's a 4-year journey, so all I can say is I'm saying yes to the journey, and I'm enjoying it,
Yeah.
immensely, and I'm loving how much I learned, and I said yes to you with this. So um and I'm enjoying this with our Zooms. We're learning so much through our pod. And it's all from the heart. It doesn't feel like work at all, any of it. It's probably, I do wake up and think like I'm really enjoying a lot of my life right now. And if I stay in that gratitude, you know, of like, oh, I haven't what I thought I wanted,
Mhm.
to sell these multi-million dollar homes in real estate and live on this mansion on the beach and stuff like that. Not to say that. I'm not telling the universe I don't want that. I can
Mhm.
still take that. But I
Mhm.
had no idea my life was going to go in the direction it's going. And I don't feel like it's work. I enjoy every day of it. I enjoy the learning, I enjoy the singing. I love how the nonprofit's growing. I love what we're doing in Haiti. I love these our podcast and what we're learning from them. I love how spirit speaks through us in the middle of this. We never know what's going to come out of it.
Well, it's been great. It's been great. So there's a lot there. So first of all, I think you're right that we do have multiple purposes. We don't have just a single purpose. Because, I can think about other, now, like high profile people who are multi talented. So they may be musicians, and then they can also use or comedians or whatever, but they also have like a visual artist talent or gift that maybe in their later days they start to express in that way, or the politicians and they're expressing in that way, as a visual artist. So yeah, so there may be multiple purposes, not just a single purpose. And then the other thing is that's coming out of this for me is that we should not be concerned about the how, that we should just surrender to you know, what it is, and get that ego out, because we talked about that before, right? How ego and
Yeah.
conscious, not the subconscious, but the conscious, can, get in the way, can become a barrier. So to what we need to express. So we shouldn't be concerned about the how, because like you were saying with Haiti, you didn't know how you were going to get there. You didn't know how much money you needed. You didn't know what needed to be done. But all those things came, didn't they? And it just developed. It just came out of wherever. So so those are some of the takeaways, and that we need to really just pay attention to the hints, the tips that are coming to us from spirit, and our own heart's desire, and just really pay attention to that. So I want to talk to people about, what is your heart desire? Have you found your purpose yet? And if you haven't found your purpose, I'd like you to consider the conversation that we just had, and take some time to sit with yourself and see what comes up in terms of your heart's desire, and whether or not you're getting any downloads or any feedback, or whatever you want to call it, from spirit. Like, what's constantly coming into your mind, and what is it that makes you excited to get up in the morning? We invite you to try these tools, and listen to this conversation and see what is it that resonates with you, and then and share that with us. That would be great. We I guess previously in our conversations we talked about ways, um, that spiritual our ability to be spiritual and to connect with spirit comes up. And I'm hearing it on like television, when people talk about having, because we talked about having out of body experiences, and um, deja vu. um, we talked about the conscious and the subconscious, and the subconscious is the driver, I think, of what happens in our lives.
Hmm.
If we don't, whatever it is, our activity is, it's what's going on in the subconscious that really dictates, what our life is going to be. And
Right.
ego can get in the way, and ego can be really prickly. Let me just say that. It could cause some, I was gonna say stress, maybe distress. So you have to really surrender to the higher power, and when that comes into your experience, to really surrender to that, and that will guide your decisions, your actions, anything that's challenging you, which is what this is all about. And so, we're trying to find the answers, and we think that the answers lie in us paying attention to the hints that we're getting and the tips that we're getting from higher power, uh, and the divine invisible, as I like to call it.
The answers are within us, is what they always say. So
That's exactly right. They,
we just have to listen
we just have to
and
listen.
act.
Mhm.
Listen and act from the heart. So I think that's what we're getting from this.
And what did you call it? You said it wasn't divine action, it was
Inspired action.
inspired action.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, inspired from the omnipresent, a higher power. So that's it for this week. We hope you got something out of this. Make your comments in the section below and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.